let's hop in a game and hope everything works beautifully here. Wow. Wow, look at that. So crisp, so clean. Looks exactly the same to you guys as it always does, and that's what I want to see. Spawning in the upper left-hand corner of Gressvan, we've got the blue Protoss player, who is not currently up 3-0. I accidentally a thing. It is Matcherino Esports' Astrea. Our American representation for today. I think the only one, actually, that I remember seeding into this bracket. His opponent in the lower right-hand corner. Some call him the one true dung. The dung of the Ragu, DRG. This is a best of 3. The hotkeys to change this and to change Astrea's score, very similar. Fun fact. Looks like Astrea opened it up with a, excuse me here while I move my microphone, a cheeky little block on the hatchery. Promise I'm not trying to make a ton of noise, but sometimes that's just how it be. Again, we got the new setup here. We're in the chicken cave, the chicken coop. I guess that's what my apartment is now called. I don't think my neighbors would appreciate it if I kept a rooster in here, but it would feel appropriate. Hopefully this improves my casting. Probably it won't, but it might improve my posture, so at least there's that. And I'll be able to see what's going on the screen. A big improvement. I don't know if you guys know, it's really hard to cast when you can't really tell what's happening on screen or click the different things. It's something I learned recently. In any case, Astrea and DRG are very, very closely ranked. When I was checking Aligulac earlier, which isn't exactly an impartial ranking, but is about as close as we can come in the professional StarCraft scene. Astrea and DRG were right next to each other. In fact, I think Astrea was one rank above DRG, if I remember correctly. Astrea was 25 and DRG was 26. Oh, so close. Astrea was 24, DRG was 25, and actually Nightmare was 26, who is also in this bracket, facing off against Creator right now. So these guys very closely ranked. I expect to see an excellent game between them. Excellent match. Astrea's looked very good lately. I think DRG certainly has the ability to take him down and make him work for it, but I do favor Astrea, I would say, a little bit here. Just because it feels like he's been playing so damn well. This is cute. Nice little moves here, but DRG saving those drones from the nasty mean adepts. Only getting those cancels. Astrea keeping the adepts alive, though, is a very nice thing to do. Yeah, it's an extremely standard opening from Astrea. I think he's, generally speaking, a big fan of the kind of safe macro openers. Keeping that first Oracle back at home to defend against the Lings, as we just saw there. It's the good stuff. DRG usually likes to play with a lot of Lings, a lot of Banes. Occasionally some Mutalisks. I think Mutas could be fun here. But we see already a Phoenix on the way from Astrea, and I feel like this might end up being kind of a scouting Phoenix. Obviously, you can kill the Overlords with it. But it's just a good way to keep an eye on what your opponent's doing. And stop those Mutas from surprising you if they are going to be on their way. It's exciting stuff. While we get started here, I will say this is the last KSL weekly before the Summer Slam. We have a $4,500 tournament as it stands right now for next week. We're hoping to get it up to $5,000. I think there's a very good chance we will get it up there, courtesy of the Patreons, the people who have donated to the Matcherino. OSC Esports has put in $500 to help us pump that prize pool up. And part of that money is actually going to go to supporting the qualifying players, we'll have a qualifier to fill in 4 of the 12 spots for the SummerSlam. And the players that just barely don't make it will receive $25. So that there's a little bit of incentive to play, even if you don't quite get through. But it's going to be a 12-man bracket, and I'm really, really excited for it. We have some excellent players already in based on the KSL points that have been earned so far. The only questionable spot right now is the final spot, the 8th and final spot in terms of points. Cure holds that spot right now. There are a couple of players, in fact, both of these players are in range of catching up to Cure if they win and Cure gets knocked out early. It's a bit of a tough task. It's a hard thing to ask for either of these players to win in this insanely stacked bracket. But to also need Cure to not get any points is going to be really tough. Honestly, if Cure even makes the semifinals, I'm not sure if anybody but Ragnarok could catch him with a win. So Cure, going to be feeling pretty, pun slightly intended, secure in his point standing right now. But there is always that kind of outside chance. Ragnarok could pretty easily win one of these. Just take a couple of key victories in key matches. Be kind of cool to see Ragnarok sneak ahead in points right at the very end. Anyways, I'm really excited for that. I hope you guys are too. That's going to be at a much more Europe-friendly time and a much less North America-friendly time. So if you're from NA, I apologize. You probably have to watch the VOD unless you like to wake up at 2 a.m. Pacific time. I don't like to wake up at 2 a.m. Pacific time, but the players all really hate that this is at noon for them. So tried to be a little considerate and run the big event at 6 p.m. their time. We finally have a little action here as the Lings come in. Don't think they're going to get much done. In fact, I don't know where the hell these Lings are going. That is a lot of lost Lings for kind of nothing there. They did get the kill on the Nexus. There was no cancel there from Astrea, and I think that's a bit of a mistake. Lings taking advantage of that +1 melee to stop that 4th base, or at least delay that 4th base. But there was a lot of dead Lings for that. 39 Lings going down. Really not worth, I think, that final little move around. I'm not really sure what that was from DRG. Misclick or a pathing issue or something. Well, right now we see DRG just mostly sticking on Ling Roach, but he is heading towards Lurkers. He's getting into that higher tech. He's got the Hive. He's got Adrenal on the way, +2 melee and +1 missile attacks. No Banelings at the moment, which is really interesting to me. I feel like I've seen a lot of Baneling usage against the Protoss. Astrea does have a couple of sentries that could be used in Force Field. He also has High Templar with a lot of Storm energy. He's going to go ahead and storm some of those Lings. He could try to time out a few Force Fields here and just clean up the rest of these Lings. DRG is going to try to pull him away from those Lings as they come out of that stasis trap by attacking over here. A little bit of a miscontrol on the Lings and Roaches, and he's going to be forced to run away. Storm does hit those Lings. A lot of them go down, but a number of them get away as well. Both players at 83 workers. Astrea's economy has been so good this game. DRG does pull ahead here in the last couple of minutes, but it still feels like this Protoss has just kind of been let roam free. And that does worry me a little bit for DRG. That being said, DRG also, he didn't take drone damage. 6 drones have gone down this game. Really not much damage coming out of Astrea, not a ton of harassment. And that's allowed DRG to get straight up into these Lurkers. Protoss ground armies don't deal with Lurkers all that well. It does become really difficult. A lot of times if you see this kind of ground army that Astrea is going for, the Protoss will try to hit before Lurkers become part of the deal, especially if they're joined by Vipers. That can make things really complicated, especially for the Immortals, which can either get pulled forward or just blinding clouded. They're really kind of bumbly units, and if they're forced to micro a ton, that can be a problem. Right now, DRG is going for that worker line, just trying to settle up behind this Nexus. But there is a Disruptor out, gets a really nice first connection, kills 2 Lurkers, damages 3 more to a very low amount of hit points. Second Disruptor Nova gets a couple more kills here. Storms on the roaches. It feels like there might not be enough support for these lurkers as the Immortals are going to start chunking through these guys. And again, with no Vipers, no Blinding Clouds, and no more buff for those lurkers, need to get the hell out of there. Only 2 probes dying. There was some lost mining time, but Astrea is right back into it. And he just pushed that away. That was a very nice fight for Astrea. Yeah, really, really good trade for Astrea. DRG really didn't kill much at all. Got one of the disruptors, and that's about the only impactful thing there. Astrea should be able to take a 5th fairly soon. Gonna send some zealots around to run by. DRG's creep spread is fantastic. That's gonna give him a lot of time to react, but it feels like a lot of his army isn't necessarily good at reacting to those kinds of things. So I have no idea where that run by went. I think the zealots, okay, they came home and they're going north now. Lurker's gonna break through these rocks, but they're all on their own. This is actually so scary right now for DRG. But Astrea, he is out of position to deal with this. This is a lot of units. Fortunately, he doesn't need to necessarily be in position. He can just recall there, but there's lurkers with this. And I don't know if there's detection with this army. Even if there is, it feels like those lurkers just got so much damage done that recall ends up backfiring hugely for Astrea. Now the rest of the army's trying to show up, but what is the rest of the army? It's not much. Disruptors getting killed here. The fort base goes down. At the same time, whatever lurkers were over here were fighting those zealots and actually seemed to win that fight. They're going to start working on this wall as the rest of this army from DRG pulls back. Astrea suddenly in a lot of trouble after not realizing where DRG was coming from. He does have a zealot run by, but there's 2 spine crawlers here. Hydra reinforcements are going to clean these up in a heartbeat, and that's a lot of wasted money for Astrea. And DRG, he's not done yet. There's a Nidus in the main. Astrea has vision of it, and he's heading there right now, but this is just pulling the army out of position. Nothing needs to come out of this Nidus. It's just 1 lurker in it. DRG's going to hit this Nexus. He's going to force the cancel on it. Astrea's army has turned around, but it feels so paltry right now. There are some High Templar for Storms. Those can be quite good against the Hydras and the Lings, but they're on top of them, and GG gets called. DRG takes game number 1 there against Astrea. Such a passive game for so long, and I feel like Astrea, I don't know, I feel like he's very confident in those macro games, but DRG just happy to go straight up into those lurkers. And with a really nice pincer move there, feels like a missed opportunity for Astrea. Didn't quite see that there was 2 armies. The lurkers were all on their own on the north side, but there was that army of Ling Hydra lurker on the bottom side, ready to hit his 4th base. It's a good way to show the bad side of recall as well. As strong as recall can be, as good as it was in that situation, I mean, I even said it during the game. It's like, oh, he's caught out of position. Well, he could just recall. But the recall ended up hurting him. He ended up losing the base and losing that whole army. I think had he not recalled, had he just walked back, maybe even tried to corner that army a little bit, he could have had a much better fight. Still would have lost the base, still would have lost the probes, but I think would have taken a much better army fight, which would have made it a lot harder for DRG moving forward. It's a tough thing to say. But we're heading into game 2 now. Going to Neo Humanity. Kind of an interesting map here. This one's set up a little bit differently than usual. I wonder if somebody's got a build prepared for this. I didn't see the vetoes who picked this map. We'll just have to see. Let's go ahead and hop on in to game number 2. Spawning in the upper left-hand corner is our American Protoss for Macherino Esports, Astrea. And his opponent in the lower right-hand corner, in the red, it's DRG. Dongri Gu. Such a passive start to that last game. Not even start. They got straight into nearly late game, like late mid-game armies there. DRG had a hive before like anything happened. The Lings killing the 4th base was the only thing that happened in that last game. Kind of crazy, honestly. Just how I don't know how chill both the players were. And this is actually a Nexus first from Astrea. Was it a Nexus first last game too? I feel like I wasn't super paying attention at the start of last game. I was focused more on making sure everything was all good on the stream and things like that to notice what the builds were. But Astrea just going straight up for a Nexus first. Now, against a hatch gas pool, which is what DRG is going for here, this is a very good build. Obviously, it delays your units a little bit, it delays your tech a little bit, but it gets your economy boosted up quite a bit faster. It does have the big downfall of basically insta-dying to a 12 pool. But as we see, DRG not 12 pooling, and Astrea taking that gamble. It's paying off this time. We don't see a lot of 12 pools at the high level anymore. Those were kind of popular against Protoss for a while, but I think the vast majority of Protosses in the pro scene are very good at defending them these days. There is a way to defend them and just be ahead after, and I think most of the players, they know how to do that. They know how to handle their stuff. Astrea in particular, I wouldn't expect to fall to a 12 pool in a normal build. And now he's going to get that double adept across the map again. It's what we saw last game. Just trying to poke and prod at the workers. I imagine it's going to be another Stargate opener here. There it is. Astrea really not changing it up. Sometimes players, they like to change it up. Astrea, he's sticking with it. Even though he lost game 1, he says, I think I know what I did wrong. Obviously, you know, in a game like that that's super passive, sometimes it just comes down to one mistake. You know, the positioning of the units during the recall kind of killed Astrea in that last game. He lost so much of his army that all DRG had to do was not make a big mistake like that, and he would have taken it to the bank. So I think Astrea knows, all right, as long as I don't make some mistake like that, we can get into a better game, better mid game, maybe a better late game. Feel a little bit more comfortable. DRG though, what is he going to try to do here? Does he want to just let it macro out again? Get himself to lurkers? Does he have a cheeky build planned on this map? He is going to get in here, get on top of this adept. I think he got the probe this thing. And this is quite a few Lings out. There's still 18 of them on the field. He'll kill that adept. A few more adepts coming over with the Oracle and the probe. Oh, those Lings really wanted to try to get that probe, but knew it was going to be a fool's errand. So DRG gets out of there. He did take a big economic hit for this, though. Just now getting up into a decent worker count. 5 drones on the way. But only 33 drones out right now for DRG, and that feels like a bit of a problem. Already 43 out for Astrea. As his 3rd base is on the way, he's hit full 2-base saturation here. Forge and Twilight counts will go down. Now, last game for Astrea was very robo-heavy, and that does usually lend itself to fighting better against lurkers, things like that. With the Twilight Council and the Forge going down, I'm kind of wondering if Astrea wants to get into Blink Stalkers this game, a bit more of a common tech choice these days. And something Astrea is very good with. Honestly, Astrea was playing Blink Stalkers way before it was the meta. I remember like years ago, he was playing heavy gateway, heavy Blink Stalker style against Zerg, particularly late game where the units get quite a bit slower for Zerg and don't handle multi-pronged pressure quite as well. The Zealot run-bys, the Blink Stalkers dipping in, killing Brood Lords or taking down Queens, things like that. It was a hallmark of Astrea's play. So, not too surprised to see him head towards Blink and +1 here. Should be interesting to see how he fares with it. Right now for DRG, he's getting into a lair, +1 melee. Pretty much the same as last game. I think it's going to come down to some more pressure coming out of Astrea and how DRG is able to handle it. Handle these Blink Stalkers in the mid game. I have a feeling this is going to be a bit more of an active mid game than last game was. Stalkers getting caught in the slope field a little bit here. They do not have Blink yet. This is a bit of a problem. The Oracles are going to try to fire, but they're actually in the slow zone too, which is making their attacks take longer. That was a lot of Lings going down, but all of the Stalkers that were out there died. And I think that's quite good for DRG. Those Lings are a bit more replaceable than early Stalkers. The thing about Blink Stalkers is they snowball. So as the numbers grow, they get exponentially more powerful. Losing the first 4 Stalkers, very, very, very painful. Astrea should be able to warp in quite a bit more. What's interesting, he really hasn't put much pressure on. I expected more from these Blink Stalkers. DRG has made a lot of Lings. Both players still hovering right around the same worker count as DRG's 4th finishes up, and Astrea starts his up. Needs to get some cannon shield battery action going at this base pretty soon. The Lings are on their way. Oracle's going to look for some damage, but with Queens, it's 4s here. Running away is certainly the best course of option. Hydra's on the way out now. In this game, we do have Banelings out of DRG. I think that makes sense with the army he's seeing here. It's not the Sentries and Immortals of last game. It's the Blink Stalkers. A little bit more vulnerable to the Banelings. Love that move from Astrea, the stasis trap, just to catch these Lings. Just saw something about that recently. How it can be a good wall. If you open Oracle first, it's definitely the way to go. And it's going to be a Colossus as well. So Astrea getting into Blink Stalker Colossus. Again, kind of an old school Astrea style. I don't think a ton of Protosses play this way, but it's really cool to see him bust this one out. I remember cheering for him back in the day when he was doing this, and not a lot of other players were. The Lings and Hydras come in here, but DRG's going to have to run away as the Colossus comes over. Both the Colossi come over. The Lings try to bust through again, but this time it's Zealots there in the wall. They do a little bit better against the Lings. Ooh, the Hydra stutter stepping forward, but the Warp Prism Micro out of Astrea going to keep these Colossi alive for a lot longer. Super Shield Battery turns on, and suddenly these Colossi feel invincible, but they are not invincible. As one goes down, the other one gets way back here, but the Shield Battery is now gone. The Stalkers have blunked back as far as they can. The Colossus is being microed back, but a lot of probes going down. Some more units come up from the high ground, though. Astrea will be able to push this away, but that's 13 dead probes just then. Ooh, more Ling and Hydra reinforcements as DRG is not stopping making the units right now. But he is going to have to pull back. Every time he turns around and fights, it feels like he loses a couple more Hydras. I feel like that's usually better for Astrea. If you're killing Hydras, that's a good sign. Hydras usually want to pull away once the Lings are done. Ooh, speaking of the Lings, though, they get into the natural. The recall goes down. A few units will come back to clean them up. That's going to be some dead probes in the meantime. And a couple of Lings sneaking into the main. The probes will perform the citizen's arrest and take them down. Astrea cleans that up. Not taking too much damage, but I think definitely worth it for DRG. But as I say that, it's 71 drones to 81 probes. So he just killed a bunch of workers. Astrea still has more than him. Astrea is still going to be mining at least even, but should be mining more than the Zerg right now, which is not particularly ideal. And it's double Colossus production. How many Colossi is Astrea going up to? He's pushing out a creep. He's got 4. He's going up to 6. Oh my god. You just never see 6 Colossi. I can't tell you when the last time I saw 6 Colossi in a professional game of StarCraft was. Banelings did just come in and blow this up. I'm very sad I missed that. I'm gonna apologize. We'll just look at the empty probe line here. As I was watching the Colossi clear some creep, some Zealots tried to sneak into DRG's base, but they didn't really get anything done, just got pushed away. The Colossus count stopping at 6, as it looks like Astrea is getting into Immortals and maybe some Disruptors. Storm is on the way as well. Astrea is going full anti-ground splash damage. And unfortunately for DRG, I feel like he's going full ground, very susceptible to splash damage units. As it is just Lingbane Hydra at the moment. I don't even know if there's a Lurker Den just yet. There is not. The Hive is done. Adrenal's on the way. There are Vipers coming out, and that can definitely make an impact. But the Lurker Den is just now starting up. It's a long way from Lurkers. Kind of liking Astrea's army a little bit better than DRG is. The Storms trying to damage up these units. The Bane's still getting through, though. A lot of those Banelings dodging the Storms. They're going to get on top of the Colossi. One goes down, a second one gets low, but it does stay alive. Army trying to split here for Astrea. The other side coming in. Baneling smashing through with the Stasis Trap, saving those probes from that last Bane hit. Some Zealots trying to get into this base, to the worker line here. Prism ferrying them around. So DRG pulls back to defend. Astrea defends pretty well back at home, although losing a couple of those Colossi isn't necessarily ideal. I guess it was just the one. He still has 5. Don't worry. Baneling dies. Astrea going to take the forward 5th base here. And this is a very good position for the Protoss if they're able to get it up. Cannons and shield batteries at these locations can make it so difficult for the Zerg to move through the center of the map. Ooh, DRG, though, he finds this base with the Lings. These are +2 Lings. Adrenal about to finish, and that is going to be a dead base. The cancel goes down. At the same time, DRG's losing the same base on his side of the map. He doesn't really have a ton of extra bases. He hasn't been expanding like crazy on his side of the map. He's just been trying to get to these Lurkers. Astrea, though, he's just going to push through this. A lot of these Lurkers are still building. Storms going down. The Archons die, but they did their job. They tanked. And DRG is forced to tap out as Astrea's Protoss Death Ball pushes through. Ties up the series 1-1. All right, game number 3, we're going to Dragon Scales. See how the rest of the bracket's shaping up while we're looking at this. Looks like Ranger is now up against Cure. Han Mono won to face Classic. Ender won his first match, is now facing Ragnarok. Patches is up against Dark. Rebellion is up against Hero. And Gumiho is our first member of the round of 8 with a win over Firefly. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. Now let's hop in to game number 3. The players are tied up. They're ready to go. Here on Dragon Scale, spawning in the lower right-hand corner, it is, of course, our American Protoss in the blue, Astrea. For Team Matcherino, his opponent in the upper left-hand corner, I don't think currently has a team. But he is one of the longest tenured StarCraft 2 pro players we have. He's been around a long time. At some points, he was the best Zerg in the world. You know him as Dongregu. It looks like it's going to be another Nexus first here out of Astrea. You know, I'd love to see it. Dangerous move on the ladder, but a great move against somebody who you don't expect a 12 pool very often. Or if you're good enough to know how to stop a 12 pool with a Nexus first opener. I don't know how you'd go about it, though. Actually, that would be a really interesting problem. I wonder if there are solutions to to that problem for Astrea. Because it feels like if you do this enough, you're going to start having Zergs just 12 pull you. Double gate here. I do like the double gate. I think in order to get the full wall off, you kind of need to open with the double gate. Otherwise, it can get a little bit sketchy against those first few lings. You know, sometimes it can get, I don't know, a little boring maybe watching the players use the same builds over and over and over again. But it can also be fun to see how they adapt to different situations. Astrea had the same exact opener in games 1 and 2, but obviously went different places with it in the mid game. And I think it's nice to see a player who's developed a full macro game. They don't just have a few different builds, or even like a bunch of big variety of crazy builds, cheeses, attacks, all-ins, big pushes, things like that. Those can be a lot of fun to watch, and there's some players that are so good at it. But it can be really nice to watch a player who has just perfected a build. They've nailed down all the little aspects of it. How to handle the cheeses, how to handle the all-ins and the pushes with their different openers. Or even like this, the Nexus first. Feels like a bit of a gamble from Astrea. Is DRG so averse to 12 pulling that it's just a good thing to do against him? It feels like that's probably not the case. DRG probably knows how to drop a pull on 12 and build some Zerglings and send them across the map. And Astrea might be in a lot of trouble if that happened. But he's taking that risk to get that economy going. Wings are going to get on top of one probe. They're going to get the second probe, who tries to hide behind those Adepts, but the Adepts do not protect it. They don't protect their probes. That's funny, because those Lings came in and a handful of them died to kill the probes. Astrea is not afraid of sending that first Oracle across the map, which he was reserving in those last couple of games instead of sending it straight across. But it's cool to see him, again, just kind of adapt. He's not just blindly leaving that Oracle back at home. He knows it's better to go get damage with it if he doesn't have to worry about the Lings. And he gets some payback for those 2 probe kills. And now with 6 Adepts even coming across the map, DRG needs to be very aware of this. He's going to send the Lings out to try to defend here. The Adepts are just going to shade forward. A few Lings here buying time. Roach Warren kind of helping the Adepts a little bit. One of them gets split off and taken down. The Queen's trying to push them away. Looks like 2 more will go down before they shade on out of there. Oh, 1 more gets taken down. The Oracle's in the meantime getting a few drone kills. They are sharking around here and there. Oh, even going to grab 1, 2, 3 more here in this gas. And suddenly Astrea feels like he's getting some good damage done. He did lose quite a few Adepts for that. In fact, all 6 Adepts went down. But still, a very worthwhile trade here for Astrea. Killing 8 drones is always good. DRG, though, he is not going to remake any of those drones. He lost 8, but somehow he's down 23. And I think Astrea needs to be very aware of what's coming his way. Astrea, he's got a lot of Adepts. There's no glaives or anything with this. He's going towards a Dark Templar? Templar Archives. No. What the hell is this building called? A Dark Shrine. Jeez Louise. But it's not quite done yet. And DRG is hitting. And he's brought some Ravagers and Roaches with this. I actually didn't expect that many Roaches and Ravagers to be with this. I thought it was mainly Lings and Queens. The Oracle's not going to be able to help out too much here against these Queens, which are already walking up the ramp. Shield battery and both of these gateways have been depowered. There are more gates morphing up on the high ground, though, as this Dark Shrine is about to finish. Blink is on the way, but I don't think we have any Stalkers here. The Adepts were all recalled into the main. The Natural is in shambles for Astrea right now. He might lose this Natural. I think it's worth it if he can ultimately defend this, and guess what? There isn't any sort of detection for DRG. Oh, and these DTs, they are just sitting on this ramp right now, swiping away, but the Lings and Ravagers are just going to run by. However, the Queens are not coming up, and that means these Oracles can start working their way through the Roaches and Ravagers, but the Lings are getting on top of the probes. 27 probes have gone down. DRG finally takes the worker lead as he is droning up back at home. He does not have a lair, though. So this is kind of a problem for DRG right now. He does have some Sport Crawlers around. But the DTs are going to come down. They're going to be able to kill these Queens. They could just run straight across the map and try to get some damage done, but yeah, DRG is going to get that Spore down at the third base. And it feels like Astrea has taken maybe too much damage to come back in this game, as I think another probe just went down here to these Lings in the main. The third base looks pretty nice right now. But this is really, really tough for Astrea. He does still have these 3 DTs running around. He warps in one more. He can morph them into an Archon. That might be a little bit more useful as that lair is nearly done. And DRG up on 50 workers, still building more. If he gets the full 3-base saturation and then just hits the Roach button, Astrea is going to be in a world of pain. Link Stalkers, they can be quite good against Roaches in some settings, but when you're behind this far economically, it'll be really, really tough. Now we see Astrea trying to find some damage here, trying to bring DRG down a little bit, kill a few of those drones, keep that economy low. Remember, DRG, obviously he killed like a ton of workers, but he himself was down 23 before that attack started. So killing 31 workers, it's not quite as good as it seems. Astrea is about to retake this third base. He's already at full 2-base saturation. He's going to rebuild this wall. And he's going to be able to start getting out some Blink Stalkers. Oracle's getting a couple of more kills. Even the Void Ray coming out here to push away the Overlords. Just try to get any damage he can. Oh, I like the double robo from Astrea as well. I mentioned it earlier, but DRG just going to have the ability to pump those Roaches on the superior economy that he's got right now. But he's also going for a Spire behind it. DRG is, you know, he's a smart cookie. He knows what he's about. And he's going to head his way towards some Mutas. I do not think that has been scouted at all by Astrea. And while double robo can be really good against the Roaches, it's not particularly great against the Mutas. Now, Astrea is going to have both Archons and Blink Stalkers. I think he has a ton. There's no Stalkers out right now, but he could build them. It's going to be pretty decent against the Mutalisks. DRG going to try to put some pressure on, but with a cannon, a shield battery, and a handful of ground units, I think Astrea is quite set up defensively back at home. And you know what? These 2 Oracles have gotten so many kills. I think they've gotten 9 kills lately, getting 3 each time they go in since that attack that DRG did. And I mean, his worker count is not great. Astrea is looking very, very solid right now. He's got those Immortals on the way. He's got a Prism on the way as well. Lings and Roach is going to try to dive in. Should be able to bust through here. DT's warping in. Oh, tries to hold the wall. Doesn't quite get the hold on it. Few probes going to go down. This is a really nice Ling run by here. Ooh, oh my god, and the Mutas dive into the main base. Astrea, he wasn't ready for them at all. He just had no defense against the Mutas, and this is exactly where you don't want to be against Mutalisks, is struggling to defend after already losing a ton of workers. DRG getting that damage done. It was looking like Astrea might be able to come back, but DRG keeping him down to 38 probes. Astrea not even on full 2-base saturation. We're going to see that income skyrocket into DRG's favor. And with that, he can build more Mutas because he's got +1 on the way, and he's just pumping these Mutalisks. He is getting into more Lings as well. Still has a handful of Roaches around. Oracles finally get taken down after getting 3 more kills. DRG, though, he's got his 4th base. He's starting to drone it up while Astrea struggles to get his 3-base economy back online. Now, if Astrea is able to stabilize here for a little while, he might be okay. He's recognized that this is, in fact, mass Muta. So he's getting into Phoenixes. He's got a second Stargate on the way. And it looks like Astrea is going to play defensively against the Mutas. This is a really scary thing for Astrea, though, right now. I don't know if I love it, but I guess the alternative is just pushing across the map, which I don't think would work super well. These Mutas are going to be able to do so much damage. There are 29 of them out on the map. They have their +1 finished. And DRG is just going to be able to one-shot so much stuff here. Just takes down a geyser and a couple of probes and gets out of there without losing anything. And if DRG can just keep on doing that while keeping his army going, building more units, maybe getting into a hive, getting that economy roaring. He's only at 66 workers, 5 more drones going down here. I'm not exactly sure what killed those drones. Oh, it was the DT. DT will now get taken down, but did its job, forced the drones to pull away from the 4th base. Astrea still finding some good work here. Oh, even the Prism being kind of sneaky. Getting another DT to work on that base. But DRG is going to come back in now. You know what, though? There are Archons here with shield batteries. Oh, no, I don't like this. No, no, no. Oh, my God. Oh, that was scary. Somehow... Wait, how did no Mutas die in that? I just watched Mutas die. 6 Mutalisks died. I don't know why they're not showing up here. Maybe because it was splash damage, actually. And now there's Phoenix out. Astrea played the defensive game, and these Mutas didn't get a ton done, and now there's 8 Phoenixes out. This is usually what I would call the magic number, especially if they're able to get that Anti and Pulse Crystals and that +1 ship weapons. I think Astrea is going to be sitting kind of pretty here against the air army, but where is his ground army going? Oh no, he is now caught out in the middle of the map. Oh, the Archons though, huge splash damage on the Mutalisks, and all of the Mutas are going to die here. The anti-air is gone for Astrea's army, except for the Phoenixes, which are going to clean up the rest of these Mutas. The Immortal going to do its best before dying. Phoenix is lifting up a few of the Roaches as well, and that Muta count is gone. Why are there 9 more Mutas on the way, DRG? This is the wrong time to build Mutas. Astrea has Anti and Pulse Crystal. Phoenix is out with +1. These Mutas actually can't kill these as long as Astrea doesn't disconnect from this game. The Mutas will not kill these Phoenixes. I mean, I guess the big thing here is Astrea won't be expecting Mutas to come back in. They have +2 air weapons. I guess they can get some probe damage done. The Hydras are on the way now, and that's going to be much better here. At least the Mutas will keep Astrea occupied, keep this worker count down. But speaking of worker counts, DRG has never gone above 66. I think he hit 69 at one point. But, I mean, it just doesn't feel like he's got a good economy behind this to support this. He cannot rebuild Mutas. He doesn't want to go into Corruptors because then the ground army will do too well. DRG is in a terrible spot right now. Now, that being said, Astrea's ground army was killed. So that's a bit of a problem. But the Phoenixes are going to just wander to the other side of the map now. The Mutas, they're dead. They got killed to it. And now the Phoenixes are going to start working on Queens and Drones. One of them goes down to a Queen. I told you the Mutas wouldn't kill them. I said nothing about Queens. These Phoenixes just getting so much damage done. Ling's heading towards the other side of the map, but Stalkers and again the cannon shield battery set up here are going to hold strong. This base feeling very exposed right now, and I don't know where the hell these Immortals think they're going. That's a bit of a problem. Hydras are heading across the map as well. DRG wants to put the counteroffensive on, but no, man, he's not going to get the kill here. He loses a lot of Lings trying to force a cancel on this Nexus. He doesn't get it. The Hydras dive in. That's not enough Hydras, though. There's a lot of Phoenixes here. They're going to target down the base. Super Shield Battery trying to heal it. Will not be successful, but the Stalkers blink forward. The Phoenixes get the lifts. That is a lot of dead Hydras to kill a third base. Killing a base, obviously going to be very strong here. A lot of Phoenixes go down as well. And Blink Stalkers aren't particularly good against Hydras, so as more Hydras and Lings come out here, I think DRG might be able to hold this counterattack. But Astrea, recognizing how much of an army he just killed, he's seen DRG's drone lines and how little drones there have been. he's going to head across the map and try to get some damage done with these Blink Stalkers and a couple of Phoenixes. At least we'll clean up these Lings. Oh my god, the Immortals. Oh my god, the Immortals. I wondered where they were going. They were killing a base. One of them's going to die for it. The DT helping out here. The other Immortal gets recalled, gets out of there. And Astrea. I am loving this game for Astrea all of a sudden. The fact that he was able to build up to that many Phoenixes, get his Anti and Pulse Crystals out to give them that extra range. I think DRG made a big mistake there, taking that engagement. And by that engagement, I mean most of the engagements he took with the Mutas against Archons next to shield batteries and Phoenixes with range. DRG's going to dive in here. Now, there's no shield battery this time. Storm is not anywhere near done. So Astrea is going to have to let that base go. He's not going to be able to reclaim his third base. He does have another base to send probes to. Very oversaturated at the moment, but still, I think worth sending workers there. The worker count is basically exactly the same. Oh, I don't know if DRG wants to keep going, though. Storm is getting close. He is going to send the Lings up to the high ground here. One Immortal pops out in kind of a bad spot. Super Shield Battery will help against the Hydras right now. That Storm, it's about to finish. It is completed. Probes trying to kill these Lings. They will get the final kills. The Hydras, though, they dive up into the natural. Phoenix is not in high enough number to fight these right now. And Astrea, he needs to get up here, but he's being bullied out of his own natural. DRG's army positioning is so good. I thought Astrea had this, but his Storm just wasn't ready in time. Now it is finally completed. Oh, and DT's cleaning up the natural before morphing into those Archons. DRG's like, I have detection. The Archons, they don't really care about that too much. The Storms just crushing these Hydras, damaging them so much. The Stalkers finishing a lot of them off. The Immortals come into the play as well, and GG gets called by DRG as he can't fight that army. Astrea holds on somehow in that game. He was so far behind. But DRG making a couple of key mistakes. And that's why it's important to stay in those games, even if you feel like you're behind. If your opponent can make those big mistakes and you can take advantage of them and get back into that game. A bit of a wild one, very back and forth. I thought DRG might be able to actually take an advantage at the end there, but he pushed a little too long, he pushed a little too hard. And the Hydra army, very, very susceptible to those storms.